Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Coming up this hour, it's Live Music Monday.
Or Live to Tape Music Monday.
We'll share with you two of the performances we recorded live in the Roundhouse at the Franklin County Fairgrounds at the Green River Festival this past weekend in Greenfield.
Later in the show, we'll hear from the North Carolinian bluegrass duo with bi-coastal origins, Viv and Riley.
We also have a review of the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City, which we had to go see with our resident astronomer and Amherst Cinema board member, Mr. Universe, Dr. Salman Hameed.
It's so good! But first...
Turn the mic on. Thanks. Hi, everybody. How's your Green River Festival going?
Welcome to the Roundhouse inside the Franklin County Fairgrounds in Greenfield at the Green River Festival. Let's hear a round of applause from the audience that's with us in here. And we decided we would make it rain out there right now so that everybody would come into the Roundhouse for this incredible performance from some...
I've been told that this is my fault for taking my poncho off.
Every time Khalees puts her poncho on, it stops raining, and every time she takes it off, the rain begins again. But we are super thrilled to have one of the festival headliners doing what I'm calling Roundhouse kicks in the Roundhouse with these pop-up performances, little martial arts / music, I suppose. Please welcome to the Fabulous 413, the Wood Brothers.
Thank you so much. So we are playing with one microphone, so we do ask that you listen extra hard. As I sit on the edge of this never-made bed, oh, guitar in my lap, a new tune in my head. There she stands in the doorway, just brushing her hair. It's my beautiful muse in her underwear. And if I was thinking, I'd be thinking, thank God, whoever you are, for the muse and this old guitar. Times like these, so sweet and so true, and thinking's the last thing that you want to do. As I sit on the end of this dirty old bar, trying to work some things out and not getting too far. As I drown out the voices that are keeping me down, there's a muse all alone on the other side of town. And if I was thinking, I'd be thinking, thank God, whoever you are, pour out a whiskey in this dirty old bar. Times like these, so sad but so true, and thinking's the last thing that you want to do. And thinking's the last thing that you want to do. On the bed in this hospital room, shedding a tear for the bride and groom. The tiniest voice starts to bellow and cry. It's my finest work yet, if today I should die. And if I was thinking, I'd be thinking, thank God for the muse and the miracle right here in my arms. Times like these, so sweet and so true, and thinking's the last thing that you want to do. And thinking's the last thing that you want.
That is the Wood Brothers live from inside the Roundhouse, Franklin County Fairgrounds at the Green River Festival in Greenfield while the rain is drizzling outside. Lots of people coming for this fun pop-up performance with the Wood Brothers. Chris and Oliver Wood, who are actual brothers, and Jono Ricks, who's like a brother in musical spirit. Jono.
Well put.
Yeah. Jono, for those who are just listening to this on the radio and not here in the Roundhouse, tell us a little bit about what you were playing on that last song, including your modified guitar here.
The last song I was playing a melodica, which is piano version of a harmonica, kind of. And I will be playing the guitar.
Although it's its own
well,
word.
Well, it's how I said it.
It's its own word. You can say shiitake mushrooms, can you not?
S-H-U-I.
Oh yeah, I love that.
T-A-R.
Put the emphasis
Just
on the second.
Oh dear.
tar.
Oh dear.
Yes.
I said it with
Not
intent.
the way you just said it. I will have to bleep that out.
buddy.
Yeah, come on, man.
Explain what it is.
Well, it used to be a something guitar, and now it's a percussion instrument. And I've built many versions of it, and there's many years of research and development that have gone into it. I'm not kidding.
How much research and development went into it? Like, because you do have like a thing of Altoids strapped to the guitar. It's beautifully painted too. There's a beautiful owl on there.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
Did it myself.
Oh, nice. Turned it into a percussion instrument with, you played it with
it has
brushes and
multiple
hands. And
pickups. It actually took me more time than I built a lot of instruments. This is many years. It's like a decade in the making. So.
But you have like all the parts of the drum to get right on this modified instrument. So how many pickups are on it?
It's complicated.
That's Jono from the Wood Brothers. Wood Brothers, I believe, 8th studio album. Is it Heart is a Hero?
Don't know,
Don't
really,
know.
honestly.
Who can keep track of that? Not to keep just asking Jono questions. You can answer for him if you
Not
want
our
to.
department.
Is it true that you moved a piano near the drums for the recording of this album so that you could play drums and piano at the same time on the album?
So Jono, who's pretty much stealing the interview, he plays keyboards and drums at the same time. Sometimes we roll a piano in the studio. We can roll a piano next to the drum kit, and he just reaches over and it becomes part of his limb system. And then on the stage, he uses whatever's handy. You know, sometimes red keyboards seem to be handy.
So we'll all get to witness this tonight, you playing drums and keyboard at the same time?
Yes, absolutely. You can see it tonight.
Oh, that's excellent. And now the actual Wood Brothers, who are actual brothers, Chris and Oliver, I've been a fan of Medeski, Martin, and Wood for many, many, many years, and this musical incarnation came about after that. You were both playing apart from each other on different coasts, right? And then came together when I believe Chris went to see Oliver perform, and you were like, why aren't we doing this more? Is that true? Like how the Wood Brothers...
Something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it was simultaneous. It was messy and organic. I was on different coasts. I guess I was on the North Coast. Oliver was on the South Coast.
Okay.
I was like up in New York, and Oliver was in Atlanta. And there came a part, basically 15 years into our, individual music careers separately, living in separate parts of the country, not really seeing or talking to each other much, just trying to make a living doing this weird job that we have. About 15 years into it, we had a moment where we actually had a double bill with our two bands. We were on the same bill, and Oliver sat in, and it was so natural and kind of inspiring. And from that moment on, we knew, like, wow, we really should be doing something together. We had no idea what it was going to be, but it turned into this.
Had you not played together growing up?
Hardly. A little bit. We had a moment, where we were both getting into music seriously, but, Oliver's a little bit older than I am and left the house, and, we were young and just,
He didn't want you in his band is what it comes down to.
Chris is right. Like, we played as teenagers. We were just competent enough to play together and to start appreciating the joys of playing together. And then I left the house, and then when he left the house, he went a different direction. I went south, he went north, and we did spend 10 to 15 years just doing stuff with other people in other places. And then when we came together, we had shed all of our brotherly baggage, came together to play music, and just thought it was the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah, we owe our slow rise to the middle to the fact that we didn't start the band till later in life. Like it didn't blow up in our faces as young, inexperienced and immature musicians. We got humbled big time by trying to do this job for 15 years first.
That's what the Black Crowes and Oasis should have done. The new album you did to tape, 16-track tape, right?
The tape.
Like actual tape, not digital. For those who don't do a lot of recording, recording. Tell us why you decided to do that and how it's been different than other recordings that you've done either with your other bands or with the Wood Brothers.
No screens, no computer. We turned music back into a 100% auditory experience and got rid of all the visuals. It sounds silly and obvious, but it's actually really profound when you go through the process, because the way you make decisions about music when you don't look at it on a screen is just much more instinctual, quicker, the same way that you dance to music, instinctually, you just do it, you react. And we felt like making the record felt more like that. That felt good.
Is there a moment on the new record that you look to when you say, this is something we would never have done if we had done this digitally and we saw the waveform on a screen?
The mistakes.
You left them all in.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
That's a beautiful thing about doing it on tape, because I find with analog recording especially, there's something about it that lets you breathe, and music needs a little bit of that space to really live.
Yeah, it keeps you present. I think that's another thing Chris meant. It's when you're not looking at something, but you can close your eyes and listen and react, and you have to be present, just like you do right now.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, let's approach that right now, shall we? Do we want to hear another one from the Wood Brothers? Live from the Roundhouse at the Green River Festival in Greenfield with the fabulous 413. Once again, the Wood Brothers.
Pilgrim?
One.
When I step off of that train, I'm gonna sit down and wait, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. When I step off of that train, I'm gonna sit down and wait, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. The best part of me will surely be late, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Well, the soul's gotta walk like a pilgrim. He stops to smell every flower on the path. I'm gonna slow down, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Travel that fast. When I get off of the road and I'm thinking I'm home, I try to remember. When I'm holding my baby and I'm leaving her cold, it's all 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Got a soul takes its time, like a pilgrim he's trying to find him some peace that's gonna last. I'm gonna slow down, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Travel that fast. Yes, I better slow down, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Travel that fast. When I'm running and I'm flying and then losing my mind, I take my foot off of the gas and let the other fools pass. 'Cause the soul takes it slow, like a pilgrim. He knows he's gonna get where he's going if he just stays on the path. I'm gonna slow down, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Yeah, travel that fast. I better slow down, 'cause the soul can't travel that fast. Well, travel that fast.
Coming up, more music recorded live at the Green River Festival with bluegrass duo Viv and Riley.
Up next, we'll talk with Amherst Cinema Executive Director Yasmin Eisenhauer about fun summer happenings at the cinema, and then Mr. Universe and our review of the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City.
And we promise no spoilers. You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on NEPM.
Are we allowed to talk in the movie theater when you're on the board?
Only I can talk it.
Where are you? Asteroid City, Farm Route 6, mile 75.
Junior stargazers and space cadets. Each year we celebrate Asteroid Day, commemorating September 23rd, 3007 BC, when the arid plains meteorite made Earth impact.
We are in the lobby of the Amherst Cinema. We got to go to a very special private screening of the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. But we are with the executive director of Amherst Cinema, Yasmin Eisenhauer, who did not watch the movie with us. So we're going to talk about the movie in a second and let you go so we don't spoil anything. Not that we're going to spoil anything major for you, the listener, either. But
It's not a spoiler to say that I loved it.
I also loved it. I read this terrible review about it in the Boston Globe, and I was terrified it was going to be bad. But I thought it was delightful.
I quite liked it, and that's enough with no spoilers.
Yeah, but we'll get into some of the implications that this alien-oriented movie has to do, and that's why we're talking with Hampshire College astronomer Dr. Salman Hameed, Mr. Universe, also a board member of the Amherst Cinema. But Yasmin, executive director, what's coming up this summer that's fun and exciting for Amherst Cinema?
First of all, I don't usually admit that I don't see movies, so...
You will see this one. You just didn't happen to see this one
yes,
now.
I will be seeing it in about 2 hours.
Yeah, okay.
And so if I meet people on the street, they are welcome to spoil it from... So by the time of your publication, we are really excited for this film, Asteroid City. Wes Anderson is really, he is an art house darling. And fun fact, Amherst Cinema has screened, I believe, every single film of his. There was one when we were transitioning from Pleasant Street to here that we missed one. But he has been Amherst Cinema darling. There have been such wonderful reviews and press about this film, including this ability to bring specialty art house film back at a time when commercial films, there are so many wonderful blockbusters out there. So we're looking forward to people coming and enjoying this film. And we have a number of films that have been picked up from film festival circuits such as Theater Camp. One of the things I think we pride ourselves on is really having a robust set of programs that appeal to many, many different demographics.
I especially love the late night series and the music on screen series.
Yeah, any fun late night series is coming? That's my kind of jam,
so
too.
We've got this late night series that's running right now, Hotter Than Hell. I think we called it A Summer of Satanic Cinema. So if you are a fan of satanic cinema...
Frankly, who isn't?
I want to be really careful about how I say that. In fact, we screened The Exorcist many months ago, and I came in to see that, and it was just, it's fun to see films that maybe this is your first viewing or second viewing, but Late Nights is a fun series.
Oh, yeah.
I remember coming in, because anytime somebody's showing Akira on a big screen, I will go.
Yeah.
And just sitting behind people like a generation below me who'd never seen it, had never really interacted with the movie, and seeing it like that is such a different experience than watching it on smaller screens. So it's really cool to come and be a part of like the revival-y things and like the series and how you curate it.
The two Hotter Than Hell Summer of Satanic Cinema movies left are July 7th, The Day of the Beast, and August 4th, Prince of Darkness.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, king of horror. Anything else fun happening that you want to talk about, Yasmin,
Wonderful.
from the Amherst Cinema?
I would just say, come on in, see something that maybe you're expecting and you look forward to. Look through our offerings, pick something that's new and maybe out of your interest area or comfort zone, and just bring a friend.
Now we won't spoil Wes Anderson's Asteroid City for you. We're going to ask you to leave the lobby, your own lobby, so that we can freely talk about the movie.
And so you can get ready to go and watch that movie.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Amherst Cinema, community-supported cinema, just like we're community-supported radio. So you gotta, if you're interested in that sort of thing, maybe you should think about supporting it.
Yeah, you can find out more information at amherstcinema.org. Coming up, our spoiler-free review of the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City, with Hampshire College astronomer Dr. Salman Hameed.
And later in the show, another Roundhouse kick. Music and conversation recorded live in the Roundhouse at the Green River Festival this past weekend with Viv Riley.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on NEPM.
What do those pulses indicate?
What? Oh, the beeps and blips? We don't know.
Some of our information about outer space may no longer be completely accurate. Anyway, there's still only 9 planets in the solar system as far as we know, Billy.
Except now there's an alien.
Hampshire College astronomer and Amherst Cinema Board member, Dr. Salman Hameed. We have just watched the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City, which is now open in theaters everywhere.
And that's all.
It's like Spatula City, just with asteroids.
Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all.
That's another deep movie cut. We don't want to spoil anything for anybody. It's a Wes Anderson movie, so we can talk about what we know about Wes Anderson movies from previously. You know, Rushmore, Moonrise Kingdom, the animated Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Isle of Dogs. Let's see.
Budapest Hotel.
Grand Budapest Hotel, The Darjeeling Express, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
It's also a really interesting look at like quarantine. The way it depicts quarantine in a weakening COVID world is very interesting.
Yeah.
And it was shot while there was quarantine, and from what I read, it's not shot in the Southwest, but it is shot outside of Madrid.
Yeah.
And so that has the connection of the sort of like the old spaghetti westerns in some sense.
Also worth noting, great music, like some spaghetti westerns. Yeah.
We were talking about that music is really cool, especially the last song.
Yeah, Jarvis Cocker.
Of Pulp.
And then a great use of Freight Train by Elizabeth Cotten in there. Also an original song that will delight you.
Yes. Oh, and a dancing Roadrunner.
Yeah. Have we spoiled too much? I don't think so.
No.
Nobody knows what this movie is about.
There is no way. You can spoil everything you want and still go with.
We've said literally nothing about the plot.
If there is a plot.
Or a message. And is that the message?
Exactly.
Here we go. Now we're going a little bit too deep.
I feel like there's a message,
Oh,
but we don't.
is.
That would be spoiling it.
Yeah.
There are very few actors that are not in this film.
Yeah, all of the good actors. Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liv Schreiber, Hope Davis, Stephen Park, Rupert Friend, Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, Hong Chow, Willem Dafoe, Margot Robbie, Tony Revolori, Jake Ryan,
But I will say that
and Jeff Goldblum.
Hope Davis, one of the actors I was most excited to see on screen when I realized who it was, is not in this poster.
Oh, yeah, there's a good poster of most of the characters.
Most of the cast here.
And Liv Schreiber, Hampshire alum.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
He looks so much like my Uncle Kevin the whole time, and he's kind of like a character that's very much like my Uncle Kevin, too. I was like, whoa, is he mad at me still? Notable absence of Bill Murray.
I think from where I was reading that he contracted COVID. And he was supposed to have some scenes in there, and then they ended up without him.
I thought he got canceled for treating people poorly on sets, and maybe they decided to move away from him, which was heartbreaking for me to hear about. But yeah, I heard Bill Murray's not as nice a guy as we'd love to believe that he is.
No!
I hear he's this when you run into him in the general public.
Yeah, or if he just shows up at your wedding or golf course to drink. But your initial thoughts first, Khalees, about Asteroid City.
I loved it so much. I loved it.
I have to look at this quote that I read that was excerpted from my friend Brooke Hauser, who was the former editor-in-chief of the Daily Hampshire Gazette and who is now an editor for the Boston Globe. She posted the Boston Globe's review of Asteroid City. A headline of the Boston Globe review says, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City is a crashing bore. And what she excerpted from the article is, the plot became so convoluted that I stopped caring, opting instead to pray for the end of the film or the apocalypse, whichever came first. So I went into this with very low hopes, but
it was fantastic. Like, I don't really understand how you could get lost, but I also really love Wes Anderson's pacing and storytelling in general.
Yeah.
So it might be that I'm inoculated to the way that his scripts move.
Right.
But I thought this was great.
Yeah, I wondered, after now seeing this movie, if this reviewer from the Boston Globe has ever seen another Wes Anderson movie, because it's so Wes Anderson-y.
Right.
I think this is the most Wes Anderson-y movie of all, because it does have...
Sans Bill Murray.
Right, I mean, you have to suspend certain type of movie imagination, because it brings all of his films, really wants you to know it's a film. right? Because the way the camera angles are, every shot is centered and everybody is aware of it, and they speak sort of like, in a very deliberate manner, in a Wes Andersonian manner.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't get into that, I think you never get into it.
Yeah.
And I did have that experience. So I like Wes Anderson, but I'm not sort of like, one of those diehard fans.
You don't have to look at me when you say that.
You could also look at me when you say that, because I'm also a diehard fan.
So I did walk out, I should mention, from Steve Sussy, Life Aquatic. I walked out of that movie because couldn't get in, right? However, in this movie, it's a movie in which there is a play which is being converted into a movie, and then there is a conversation about another play
About the play that's making up the
movie. And so I think it does. To me, it's like those Swiss watches, or sort of like, those beautifully crafted, which all of his films are, Wes Anderson. And this one is the most intricate of it all. So I don't think it gets sort of like, lost in it, but I think it's beautifully constructed.
Yeah. The shift between 4:3 aspect and 16:9 aspect.
Which is the way that it's projected, or you view it on a big screen.
4:3 is what used to be like TV aspect.
Yeah.
And there's a use of that as tool to move between the different types of story that are being told here that I think is used really, really well in a very Wes Anderson way.
And a use of black and white and color. It is a love letter to the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's a love letter to script writing. It's a love letter to acting.
Yep.
And I think it's very, very beautifully done.
And to 50s sci-fi films. Yeah. Weirdly, I mean, it's not like, it's mimicking them. No, but it is trying to get the spirit of that kind of filmmaking and those kind of themes, because there are nuclear tests going on, there are aliens, there are government people in it, and so on and so forth. So all of those elements are there.
Apart from being a board member and former president of the Amherst Cinema, Salman Hameed, you are an astronomer. You used to also, though, host a movie reviewing television show on Amherst Community Television. So you love both movies and astronomy. And this does bring up a couple of really interesting points when it comes to astronomy and the search for aliens. First question I have about astronomy. A lot of Asteroid City takes place in a town that has a giant crater that was created by an asteroid. Now, I know the cenotes that surround the Mayan Peninsula in Mexico are places that you can see evidence of either a giant asteroid or a comet, likely the one that killed the dinosaurs. Those are remnants of an asteroid impact. Are there other places that you know about on Earth where you can go see a giant crater created by an asteroid like this?
Yeah, the great example is the Great Meteor Crater in Arizona.
So there's a place that's kind of like this.
And it's actually, here the meteor that was left over is very small.
It's like the size of a bowling ball.
So this was not a mass extinction one, but if you were nearby, you would be extinct. So for you it would be an extinction event. But overall, no, those things happen. So indeed, this was created in that, certainly in mind, because that is also a tourist site. And so as Asteroid City talks about sort of like the asteroid, the crater being there.
There's also an element, without spoiling too much, of aliens in this movie, and an alien sighting, and what it would mean for humanity if there were an alien sighting, and individuals who experience an alien sighting. There's also the idea that the government is trying to convince them that they didn't see an alien, which a lot of people believe is actually true in what is happening right now. But it was fascinating for me to see that in human emotion, in sort of a national way, in a religious way. All of these elements of what it would mean if an alien existed come up in this movie.
Yeah, so this is one of those cases. First of all, the alien is very cute.
Not a scary alien. This movie's great for kids. The kids will be bored out of their minds, but there's nothing wrong with it if you want to bring your kids. Or if you have weird kids like me who like Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah, but I think this is not an astronomy film. I hate to disappoint people who are going in for
You mean there's no real ellipsis we can view in the outer space?
And so
it won't burn into your...
That's right.
Don't look at eclipse with your boyer eyes, though, unless you're the president of the United States.
That's right. So it doesn't have those kind of realistic elements to it. So it is playing rather than on what would happen if an alien comes in or alien contact. It is rather playing on the movie depictions of aliens, especially in the 1950s. And then alongside with that, those government sort of like hiding it and so on and so forth. So it's an homage to films about aliens and about government conspiracies. Broader than that, it does ask, which I was very surprised at, it does ask the questions about what's the meaning of life? Because they do ask this question in terms of, well, what does it mean? And is there anything else or not? And religious questions as well.
One of the things that's kind of a throwaway moment, but there's a scene where they discuss hypothetical stars. And I had questions about that because I suppose that that's still happening where people have hypothetical stars that they then chart out and then try to prove. Is that the nature of how that works?
That doesn't really happen.
It might have. I mean, there was a time where it happened where people would observe something, and they still observe something, and they don't know. Is it a star? Is it a galaxy? You know, that kind of idea.
That's right. I mean, those type of things happen. And in fact, we recently talked about gamma ray bursts, like, which people didn't know what those were, and so they try to come up with ideas. But stars, we generally have a better idea regarding that.
In the 50s, would there have been a time where they didn't have the technology on Earth, or if you were a scientist on Earth, that without a space telescope to know what is that thing over there? Hypothetically, it's a star.
Yeah, so I mean, you did have telescopes. I mean, it's quite big telescopes since the 19th century in particular. I mean, so there were big telescopes out there, but there were cases where it was the opposite. So the discovery of Neptune. And so there are a lot of mentions of solar system in there, and that there are 9 planets in the movie. Pluto is clearly marked, so it's an accurate film. But Neptune was certainly one of those planets that was discovered based upon calculations, and nobody had seen it. So in that sense, it kind of like plays into that well, it would be there, and they actually found it.
Salman Hameed, Hampshire College of Genre and board member of Amherst Cinema, where we are right now in the lobby discussing the Wes Anderson movie that just came out, Asteroid City. If this were like a Siskel and Ebert type situation, what would you give it with thumbs up level? Or you can use like alien appendages, types of planets, meteorites.
On your 3 fingers.
Cataloged asteroids.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to be a Wes Anderson fan because this really makes no attempt to bring people into it, because it starts from the very beginning. I mean, I think Moonrise Kingdom was one of those films which was sort of like the peak of most accessibility to a certain degree. Fantastic Mr. Fox is another one.
Yeah.
But in this one, I mean, I think unless you are in it, it would be hard to get in. But if you have smidgen of likeness of his movies, you would love it, because this just takes that and takes it to the extreme.
I agree. This movie's great.
I'm so glad that Boston Globe writer is so wrong.
He's wrong. Up next, more music recorded live in the Roundhouse at the Green River Festival in Greenfield this past weekend with a bluegrass duo from North Carolina, Viv and Riley.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on NEPM.
I love a backup.
Backup to the backup.
Yes. Backup plan to your backup plan to back up your backup plan.
Fabulous 413.
Welcome to the Roundhouse at the Green River Festival. Let's hear a round of applause for the people that are in the Roundhouse with us.
Thanks for coming inside and hanging out.
We're at the Franklin County Fairgrounds.
For the Green River Festival.
This place is used during the Franklin County Fair as a place where they judge all sorts of different agricultural things. Like there's the Maple Producers Association booth over there.
There's a whole poster about pickles behind that wall there.
There's the Franklin County Beekeepers Association booth over there, but
Somebody had a massive dahlia behind the stairs.
Yeah, it's really cool, and we're repurposing it for pop-up performances here. I'm calling them Roundhouse Kicks, just to kind of get like a martial arts theme
pretty good.
going
You didn't get
in
that
there.
approved, but it's nice.
But if you were listening to the show on Friday, you might have heard about the woman behind all of the signs at the Green River Festival, these glorious hand-drawn signs from Ashfield, Nan Parati. And I gave you a hard time, Nan, on the air because it said the Fabulous 413 with Monty Belmonte. You were called on the radio right before this pop-up performance, came over, and then wrote Khalees's name in there. I just wanted to...
Monty, thank you, but I want to point out that now I just made a second sign that's real. And Khalees is up there with you. But it's only because I know you so well. I used to feed you at Elmer's and your little children. And Khalees, it's nice to meet you.
Same.
You spelled her name correctly and everything, and that's important. Well, we're really excited to bring into the Roundhouse music that will be on the Back Porch Stage a little bit later this afternoon, if you're here in the Roundhouse with us now, not if you are listening to this on the radio on Monday. Let's hear a song from Viv and Riley.
Purple sky, yellow leaves, flickering screens across the street, peeling paint off old concrete, Next door band just had a beat. Dryer's broke, but we're still fine. Hanging clothes out on the line. Mix some honey with some wine. Talk all night to pass the time. Sorry, and I'm coming for ya. It's been enough time. Sorry, and I'm coming for ya. You've been on my mind. Feet fall heavy down the stairs. Early morning blue painted chairs. Smell of smoke still in our hair. Fires burning everywhere. Sorry, and I'm coming for ya. It's been enough time. Sorry, and I'm coming for ya. You've been on my mind. Don't you think it's time to go? Leave behind the things we know. Take a bridge, follow the flow. Watch the rivers swell and grow. Sorry, and I'm coming for ya. It's been enough time. Sorry, and I'm coming for ya. You've been on my
Viv Riley, live in the Roundhouse from the Green River Festival.
They come from so much further away than I usually do.
Yeah, Khalees was watching in the middle, taking some video there. Had to run around to get back to that microphone. It's a roundhouse, though, so you couldn't find the corner.
That's fine.
He was running around in circles.
It's all good.
Viv and Riley, where do you call home base for your music?
Nowadays, we live in Durham, North Carolina.
Right.
That's a ways.
Yeah, we're driving all the way back there tomorrow, 12 hours.
Oh, my goodness.
Whoa.
So we're going to know exactly how far it is.
But it was interesting because when you walked into the Roundhouse and there were other musicians that were leaving here, it seems like you know a lot of the people locally musically. Tell us about your relationship with some of the local musicians here and how you know them.
Yeah, well, we're plugged into this old-time string band music scene. We both fiddle tunes and love doing that. And just kind of everywhere you go, just run into someone you know, plays banjo or fiddle or guitar and likes to sit in a dusty field and play tunes for 11 hours a day. So that's a fun little network. We're getting plugged into the local scene, surrounding the Parlor Room and Signature Sounds and all the great people up here who run this festival.
How did you two start playing together? When did you two start playing together?
We started playing together, I think, around 2016.
That's right.
Yes, we had just graduated high school, and we grew up on opposite sides of the country. I grew up in Virginia, and Riley grew up in Seattle, Washington, and I happened to be out west at a festival that he was also kind of teaching at, and we ended up playing music all night and started this duo together. And I also joined his pre-existing band at the time called The Onlys. So we've been playing together since then.
And Viv, you kind of grew up in this old-timey string music, right? Your parents were on Rounder Records playing this music your whole childhood, is that right?
Yes, yeah. My parents played in a lot of great old-time bands, and then they also were in a duo and wrote a lot of songs. So I was kind of in the traditional old-time music world, and then also in the slightly expanded songwriter world too, I guess.
One of the things I've been impressed with your songwriting is that it's very old-timey sounding, but there are these little perks of like play with rhythm and play with harmonies. How do you keep something that is so traditional sounding fresh in the way that you write?
I don't know. I think that is just growing up with that. It is just part of me. And so old time music is very collaborative. It's very community based and listening to others and playing with and singing with others. And so I've always found harmony to be like one of the most interesting musical things. So even though I don't try necessarily to write in the tradition, those kinds of melodies kind of need harmony, are just something that I naturally do. I try and write stuff that's current to me. I guess it inevitably reflects where I came from.
I was a fan of Viv's parents' music before I met her, which is, slightly weird dynamic when you meet someone, to be a fan of their parents. But her parents, the music they made, they were rooted in this string band tradition that we both are rooted in as well. But they, at that time in the world, they were also writing original music, and the traditional music scene wasn't as comfortable with that. So they were pushing boundaries and, adding drums and interesting textures and stuff at a time when it wasn't maybe as accepted. So we're lucky that they kind of paved the way, and so many other people paved the way to blend tradition and creativity and finding where that takes you.
A lot of people now, I think, hear our songs and they're like, oh, that's very traditional. But if we were to be playing these things not that long ago, I think a lot of people would be like, wow, that is way too outside of what is tradition. So
keep it in the lane.
I always like talking to people that play what some people perceive as traditional music, old-timey music, string band music. And what do you listen to sometimes that might surprise people, like new music, popular music that speaks to you? Not that you're necessarily playing, but that you're just big fans of. Riley, Viv Riley.
Yeah, you have to say it has to be Vivian Riley.
Yeah, okay, good. By contract.
I'm just stalling. I don't know. I mean, we'll put on hip hop to get psyched for a gig sometimes. I don't know if that would surprise people. I mean, we listen to everything. I don't know. What do we listen to, Viv?
Like you in the car driving back to North Carolina and gonna listen to Wu-Tang Clan the whole way down there or something like that?
It's always Wu-Tang, isn't it? It's always
That's
Wu-Tang.
what I would be doing.
Probably not, but that's actually a good idea. I'm down.
You can borrow my CD.
Yes.
Well, shall we hear another song from Viv and Riley here in the Roundhouse live at the Green River Festival?
This one's called Love and Chains. The sun is setting down across the road again. Mournful parting friend. Moving on. Night falls quickly, silently insisting that what's gone is done and done is gone all wrong.
Gone all wrong, don't talk about love and chains, and let's not talk about the plans we made. Why don't we just sit and watch the sunlight fade? You and I, we pretend that the world will keep on turning and that we'll have time to spend. Why do we pretend?
A cracked white ceiling, staring disbelieving while you lie asleep. Smile on your lips,
tomorrow. We'll be having coffee just to keep ourselves from fading like the heat.
Fades to fall, don't talk about love and chains, and let's not talk about the plans we made. Why don't we just sit and watch the sunlight fade? You and I, we pretend that the world will keep on turning, and that we'll have time to spend. Why do we pretend? Oh, don't talk about love and chains, and let's not talk about the plans we made. Why don't we just sit and watch the sunlight fade? You and I, we pretend that the world will keep on turning, and that we'll have time to spend. Why do we pretend?
Sun is setting down across the road again. Mournful parting friend, moving on.
Thank you.
As per usual, I have an extra question before we end.
Please.
So, just about guitars. Now, you're playing way up the neck, but you don't have a cutout.
Yeah.
Do you prefer guitars? Do you both prefer guitars without cutouts?
We do. Yeah. Yeah, we do.
It makes it so much harder to reach those higher frets.
We like old guitars because they just, they sound a certain way, and
They do.
and they didn't think of cutouts back then.
Fair enough.
I think it's also good to have limitations. So, 14th fret, that's my limitation. I just don't go past there.
Viv and Riley live here in the Roundhouse at the Franklin County Fairgrounds at the Green River Festival in Greenfield. Thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Hey, thanks so much for having us.
No problem. For our 4th of July special, you can hear the other 2 performances we held at the Roundhouse with Miko Marks and Larry and Joe.
Tomorrow,
And a giant harp.
Yeah, oh my goodness, Larry and Joe with that giant harp. Tomorrow on the Fabulous 413, Springfield's annual Puerto Rican Parade is one of the oldest in the Bay State, and it's having kickoff celebrations this week. We'll have a visit with Sasha Viance and Shirley Rodriguez from the parade, as well as NEPM's Elizabeth Roman, to explore the importance and longevity of these celebrations.
And we'll roast Dean Sycon of Dean's Beans Coffee Roasters about their move from company to cooperative and what's next for their vision for a more percolated future.
Musical thanks to Spouse, Happy Valley Guitar Orchestra, Medeski, Martin and Wood, the Wood Brothers, Viv Riley, Chaz McDevitt Skiffle Group, and Jarvis Cocker.
Our director is Tony Mall Chinese to the rescue done.
Our engineer is Betsy Scovalicious Aspect Ratio Lancto.
Our technical team is Bart. Thank you so much for all your hard work over the weekend at Green River. Rankin, Kara not appearing in this episode, Foster, and Punk Rude Boy Dubé.
I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. See you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.